Hey, this is Trevor from Moreland Woodworks, and today I'm going to go through on how I create shaker style cabinet doors. Using mostly basic tools, you could probably do all of this on a table saw, so just about anyone has the ability to do these, so let's get into it. And so the first thing I'll do is come over here and pick out the lumber that I'm going to use, and this is poplar from a local sawmill. And I'm just checking for any knots or marks and trying to find the best pieces. And then once I have my piece selected, I'll take it over to the miter station and I will set my stop block, usually half an inch bigger than the final dimensions of my door. So for this, I forget the exact dimension, but it might have been 15, so I'll just set it a little after 15 inches. I'll just come through and make my cut, usually go in about 2 passes to minimize the tear out. And then now we got our 2 pieces, our rail and stile, both just maybe half an inch bigger than the final dimensions of the door. So the final width of these rail and stiles will be 2.5 inches. So I'm gonna set my table saw to about 3 just to give me some play when I'm planing these straight. So now we went from our 2 boards to our 4 boards, and we have our rail and stiles now. Now I'll take these over to the joiner and get a nice smooth flat surface on one side of the boards. And I'll do this to all 4 boards. And as you see, you got that nice smooth surface compared to the top. Next, I'll bring all 4 boards over to the planer and put that smooth side down, and we'll make the top flat and parallel to the bottom of the board. So now those boards are coming out smooth. We're getting to the final thickness. These will be 3/4 inches. So now that we have our 2 parallel sides, we will go and do the edge of the board. So now we'll have 3 flat and square edges. So I'll run that through a couple times. Then I'll go over to the table saw and set the final dimensions of 2.5 inches for my rail and stile. Then I'll run all 4 boards through to get them all to that 2.5 inches. And now we have to get our boards to the final length dimensions. So I'll go and square up one side of the boards, and I'll usually do 2 at a time to make it faster. And then I'll take my stop block and set it to the final dimension for the rail and the stiles, and we will cut off the remaining bits and square up the other edge of the board. And then I'll come over and set the height of the bit, try to get it into the center of the board. And I actually forgot to record, but I cut the ends off the rails. Then I'll go change out the bit. And then I will go and set the height of the new bit so it's flush with this ledge. And then I will go ahead and run all of my boards through to cut the groove for the panel to sit in. And then I'll take my piece of 1/4 inch plywood and take it over to the miter saw, where I will cut the plywood down to its final length. And since this piece was so wide, I had to flip it over again and cut from the other side. Then I'll take my panel over to the table saw and rip the piece of plywood down to its final width. Then after I do a test fit and put the whole door together, I will take it all back apart and then start gluing it up and putting it back together. And it seems like everyone on YouTube has a different way of putting these together. Usually I will put the panel into the stiles, and then I will glue the rails on next. And then lastly, glue the last stile on. After I wipe the glue off the back, I will lay them down into the clamps. I don't want to apply too much pressure, but make sure they're snug and tight. And then I'll grab my tape measure just to make sure the doors are square before I leave them. So I'll check each corner to corner and make sure they're the same. Then I'll just give them one last tighten and wipe the excess glue off the top of the door. And then once you let these dry for a couple hours, you can take them out of the clamps and give them a quick sand. And they turn out looking great. And I appreciate you watching. If you want to drop a sub or a like, I'd really appreciate it. And if you wanted to critique anything I did, please leave a comment. I'll definitely read it. Thanks for watching.